Class, what's up? Welcome to our next video on rotations, okay? Day 2. We took care of rotating on the coordinate plane, and now we're going to jump in to rotating off the coordinate plane, okay? We are going to rotate, given a figure, a center, an angle of rotation, by using a compass and a protractor, okay? So this is what we are doing today. We're going to jump right into it. I'm going to show you how to do it once. We're going to write down some instructions, and then we're going to do a couple of more practice problems, okay? So, first thing you need, make sure you have your handy-dandy compass and a protractor. Did I say that right? Yeah, I did. Oh my gosh, I got scared there for a second. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to start by creating a ray from our center of rotation through the point that we're trying to rotate, okay? So there's my ray. Looks good. I like it. The next thing we're going to do, we are going to examine. We have to figure out what we're trying to do here, okay? I want to go 50 degrees counterclockwise. Counterclockwise means I need to go in that direction, right? Something like that. So you don't have to draw this big, huge arrow, but you need to draw something so that you understand which way you're rotating. Because I now know that if I'm trying to go this way in a counterclockwise fashion, well then that's where I have to put my compass. Did I say compass? Protractor. And now I can't pick up my protractor. I have to put my protractor where that arrow is going, okay? It's going this way, so my protractor has to go right here, okay? So when I do this, and I line it up all nice, and then I mark off 50 degrees, right? It said 50 degrees, so 50 is right here. How did I know to use this 50 and not the 50 off the page right now? How did I know that? Because I have to always start at 0. So my 0 is the inside track. So here's where 50 is. I want to extend a ray through that point, okay? So this is looking good. What's great is, guys, I now know that somewhere along this ray will be the copy, or I guess I should say the image of point A. Well, how do I know what to do next? I know that the distance between P and A has to be exactly the same as the distance between P and wherever I'm going to put A prime. So this is where the compass comes into play, okay? I am going to measure the distance from P to A. And if you'd like, this is looking good. I know it's going through. If you want, you can draw the full ray. I'm not going to. I'm just going to kind of come over here and make a little mark. And the reason I'm doing that is, well, whatever. I don't know. If you draw the full ray, it might get really messy when we move on to figures because it might get a little sloppy. There might be a lot of lines. But what I really care about is that this arc goes through both A, and now that I found this intersection point, I know that I'm going to call that point A prime. Okay? So what did I do? I started by drawing a ray. I then measured 50 degrees in the correct direction, and then I swung an arc to find that intersection point because that's going to be my A prime. All right, so let's write that down on the next page so we have all of this. All right, the first thing we do is we draw a ray from the center of rotation through the first vertex. Okay, the next thing we do is we measure an angle from the center of rotation for this point in the correct direction. Once we have, and actually once we do that, remember that once you measure that angle, the whole reason we do that is because we need to draw that ray. I don't know if that sounds the best, but we need to draw that ray. So now we should have two rays. The last thing we need to do is we need to use a compass. I guess not last, but one of the last things. Use a compass to measure the distance of your original point from the center of rotation and mark it off on the corresponding ray. Oh, I just realized that that was off the page, guys. Sorry. We want to draw that ray, if you missed that. Okay, so we used a compass to measure the distance. We marked the same distance off on the corresponding ray because now we know that the new point is at the point of intersection, and we label it using prime notation. The last thing, number 5. We didn't need a number 5 in ours because there was only one point. But if there are multiple points of your figure, then we repeat these steps for the remaining vertices of the figure. And lastly, you connect any points of the resulting figure. Okay? So now that we have kind of gone through these steps and we've copied a single point, we're going to show you how to copy a couple of figures back on page 15. So if we can flip back, and we're going to come down here. We're going to look at number 2 first. We're going to look at number 2 first. The first thing we're supposed to do is, well, pick a point. It doesn't matter where you start. I usually go right to left. I don't know, it's just a thing. But I know that I'm centered at point K, and the first step was to always draw a ray through the center of rotation and then the point that you're trying to rotate. So if K is my center and J is what I'm trying to rotate right now, I'm going to extend this ray out. Alright, the reason I do that is because now I need to decide, am I going down or am I going up? And hopefully you guys agree with me. I'm going counterclockwise, opposite of the second hand. I'm not going tick, 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 tick. I'm going like this. So I could draw an arrow to help me remember, because now I know where I need to put my protractor. My protractor is always going to have to go up here for these. Alright, so I try to line that up as nice as possible. And it says 65 degrees, so I find 65 degrees. 65 is right here. And I extend a ray. I draw the ray. Maybe lightly, doesn't have to be super dark. Again, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff here, so this could get kind of messy. So do the best you can to keep things light until you for sure need it. Now the last thing we do, we have to remember, J prime is going to be somewhere along this ray. The only thing we have to do now is measure the exact distance between the center and J. So I could make a little arc that I know I'm going through J, and I know that I'm going to copy that arc over onto my new ray, because what happens? I now have J prime. Easy, right? Super, super easy. Let's keep going. Alright, this is an example of one where you need to keep going because you have more points to rotate. I know I have to rotate I as well. So here's my center, go through I. Once again, I'm going to put my protractor on here. Try to line it up as best as possible. And once again, this is going how far? How many degrees? 65 degrees. So something like that. And I extend a ray. Something like that. Measure the distance from the center through the point. So, something like this. We notice that this arc went through I, so now this arc will go through I prime. Because now that I have that intersection, wapow, I prime. Alright, we're getting there. I have to rotate point H. So I take my straight edge, I extend a ray to help me measure my arc, or measure my angle I should say, sorry. I know that this should be 65 degrees, so I line it up. 65 degrees is right there, so I extend a ray. Alright, it's rinse repeat, right? It's the same thing over and over and over again. Last thing, remember, you need to get the correct distance from the center to whatever point you are trying to rotate. So, this looks like it will go through the original H, which means when I come over here, this will go through H prime. Oh, let me do H prime, H prime, H prime. Okay? All right. Question. This is important here. If K is the center of rotation, what's going to happen when I try to rotate point K? Well, like how far away is K from K? Goofy question, right? It's not far at all. It's actually the exact, I mean, there's no distance, right? K is the center of rotation, so that distance between them is 0, which means what happens when it rotates? That point stays. That's going to be K prime as well. So the last thing, to finish this up, take your protractor. Please take your protractor or straight edge or whatever you're using and connect the dots. This is the fun part, right? Playing connect the dots. Boom. You know I like to shade. Okay. So something like that. And if you notice now, what happened? I had my original, and it did what? It moved 65 degrees in the counterclockwise fashion. Okay? So let's do one more together on this video, and then we'll practice a ton in class. We will get a lot of practice time in class. All right. So what I'm going to do, and even before I start drawing any lines, let's figure this out. I want to go clockwise this time, right? I want to go clockwise, so think about a clock. If I'm starting over here, right, I know I'm going to be drawing a ray this way. I'm going to have to go clockwise. Tick, 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 tick. So I'm going like, whoop, wrong end. I'm going to be doing one of these, right? That's the direction a clock would go, or a second hand, or a minute hand, or something like that. Okay, so now I know that's going to help me place my protractor in a little bit. So start by extending a ray through whatever point you're copying. It's not copying, rotating, sorry. So I extend my ray. Now, in this case, remember, I am going clockwise, which definitely means I'm going this way. So I need to put my protractor where I can measure that. Now please remember, which 130 am I going to use? Am I going to use this 130? Or am I going to use this 130? What do you guys think? Please, 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 please remember that you're measuring an angle from over here, right? You have to start from the 0. So this time we're using the outer edge, the outside numbers. So this is the 130 I am using. Okay? When I extend this ray, when I extend this ray, I now know that somewhere along this ray will be O prime. How do I figure out exactly? I measure the distance from the center through the original point, because that has to be the same on my rotation. Alright, so I make that arc, and now I know that I have what? O prime. Great. Nicely done. Let's do another. Let's get L. Let's do L, okay? So I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to extend the ray. Nice. Okay? Again, same idea. And hopefully you remember or understand that once you figure out like how this works for one point, it should always kind of be the same for the rest of the points. So now it's really just going to be, I'm going to turn this a little bit, line it up, and I am going to use the 130 over here again. Okay, it's the same setup as before. So I extend, cool, and then I measure the distance between my center and my original point. Something like that, which means this will be right here. Okay. Let's see. Let's put this guy over here. Okay, L prime. All right, last one. Last one. Wrong tool. Okay, I have to rotate B now. So last thing I do, center this nicely, draw a ray through B, and I set up my protractor, center it, Boom. Cool. Okay. I know that this is now nicely lined up, so now I just need to mark off 130. So there's 130, because all of these are 130s. So I take that, I extend the ray. And then I have to measure the distance, okay? So C through B. Not quite. Let's see here. Let's make this better. That's too much. Okay, that goes right through B. Hopefully you guys see. And now I'm over here. So this is B prime. Last thing we do, connect all of our dots. Play connect the dots. I'm going to rewrite L prime over here, and I'm going to shade in. And what did we do? We nicely rotated the original LOB, lob, 130 degrees in a clockwise fashion to right here, to L prime, O prime, B prime. Okay, so this was a good, I think, hopefully good intro into how to rotate. Please let me know in class. I wasn't necessarily watching myself the entire time. It's kind of hard to do these or both of these things at once. If I wasn't doing a lot of showing, or with like the compass, if I wasn't showing enough things, please let me know in class so that I can do another one, and hopefully this is going to be a nice and easy section for everyone. All right, have a great day. I'll see you next time.